All right, now the Chicago Bulls, and Stu, do you want to take a swing at this with Jimmy Butler and the speculation that he might be somebody that was moved, but he was not. Jimmy Butler remains number 21 in the Bulls red and black.
Yeah, I'm going to take a swing, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time I'm going to miss. Because I'm not really certain what the thinking was in terms of the Bulls draft day activities. You have Jimmy Butler. Obviously, there has to be some demand out there for him. And if you trade him, you're making a statement perhaps that you're going to build with, some younger players and essentially start all over. Instead, what they did was gut the team of its toughest and probably most competitive player in Taj Gibson.
Right.
And Doug McDermott, who's a very promising player and, a good shooter, good scorer, moves without the ball, knows how to play. I didn't quite understand because what they're left with now on the roster, 4 point guards, and a roster of names that don't make a lot of sense, and you're sitting there with Dwayne Wade, who can't be a happy camper at this hour.
Not what he signed up for.
No, it's not. And Jimmy Butler, who, like D.A. said about Paul George, there's been some rumors he also wanted to move on. So I think they're in a little bit of state of flux, so I can't make any sense of it.
Well, I ask you the same question regarding Paul George. I wonder what Jimmy Butler's perception of all this is, or if Jimmy Butler is already thinking, down the line here, Steve.
My guess is, I think Jimmy, from an ego standpoint, I think Jimmy is a kind of guy that will handle whatever situation you throw at him. So he's going to be happy being in Chicago and getting up a million shots. And if he gets traded, he'll be happy wherever he is getting up a million shots. So I think he'll be okay from that standpoint. But it doesn't, Dwayne Wade is a short-term thing. I think he opts out and goes back to Miami. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, that would be the only move that would make sense at this point, unless he wants to play with LeBron in Cleveland next year, which I suppose is possible. But I think in terms of what Chicago's doing, to me, go all in or don't go all in. If you want to trade for Cameron Payne because you think he's got a chance to be a lead guard and you don't have one, okay, then you got to trade Jimmy Butler too. That doesn't make any sense to me. Either trade them all or don't trade any of them. But you traded half of the team and you've left half of the team. And it doesn't, to me, make a whole lot of sense. Now look, a lot of people like Laverne, think he's going to be a good player, but this is the fourth team that said, I think he's going to be a good player.
Again, jury's still out on him, man.
Yeah, all due respect. I'm not hating on him, but he's been in a lot of spots now in a very short period of time.
Well, where do you trace this with Cameron Payne coming here, and he's not going to be in Westbrook's dance partner shadow anymore.
That's a shame.
But for the Chicago Bulls, I mean, is he that guy for Fred Hoiberg? I mean, because Fred Hoiberg has auditioned several people for that lead guard spot.
I'm not certain. I think the jury is still out on Cameron Payne. I mean, and he has some development left to go as well. I mean, I think he still needs to get a little bit stronger. He needs game experience. He needs to have some consistency in terms of actually running an NBA club. He was a backup. I still don't know if he's a starter. But here in Chicago, Let's find out.
We're
going to get a chance. Yeah. And I'm sure that's what the Bulls were thinking when they traded for him.
Here, I mean, I understand. I understand the trade from the Bulls' point of view. If you just look at that trade in and of itself, I don't know if I put McBuckets in it, but they did. If you're Chicago and we have no chance of getting any of these point guards in this draft because we're not going to be able to pick high enough, so we need a lead guard, and we think this guy has a chance to be a lead guard. So we'll take a shot at it with Taj, who's probably not going to re-sign here.
Yeah, he's unrestricted.
But again, I go back to what they did to get McDermott. They traded 2 first-round picks basically to get McDermott.
And they were very high.
And that wasn't 8 years ago. That was 3 years ago.
Right.
Now even if you think, hey, maybe Doug's not what we thought he was, Doug McDermott can score the ball. I don't care what it is. He can put the ball in the basket.
He proved that in college. I know it's not the NBA,
right.
but I mean,
he can score. He's not going to score 25 a night, but he can score if he gets enough minutes. So, but if you think Cameron Payne is going to be a lead guard, then okay, take the shot. But if you do that, you also got to trade Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And to me,
there you go.
Start all over. Really start all over.
A little disjointed.